Good morning and welcome to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter, the show that takes a look at the events and what's happening all around Putnam County, as well as interviews with local, community, and business leaders. And now, sharing his insights and experience, here's Today in Putnam County with County Mayor Randy Porter.
Good day, folks, and thanks for joining us this week on Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great weekend. Our show this week is about Putnam County, and my guest this week is someone who knows a lot about it. It's Ben Rodgers. He is our County Commission Chairman, Budget Committee Chairman, wears a lot of hats here in Putnam County, and we're glad to have you on the show today, Ben. How are you?
Good, Randy. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be in front of you and talking county government about Putnam County. I love what we do, and we do it well together. So
well, that's something we both can talk a lot about, isn't it, is Putnam County government. For those of you that might not know, Ben was our C-Test rep for many years, and that you can tell them what C-Test stands for. I can't ever remember.
It's the County Technical Assistance Service,
which provides assistance to us elected officials. If I have a question about county government, Ben is the ultimate person to call because he knows everything about county government, and if we have questions, Ben helps us out. But Ben, you have a new position. You want to tell us about that?
I do. As of March 18th, I began a new career as the executive director for the County Officials Association of Tennessee. So it's still in county government. And the goal of COAT is what we call it, the County Official Association, is to advocate and lobby for a group of elected officials that include the county trustees, registered deeds, clerks of court, and county clerks. So, in short, I'm advocating and lobbying for them, especially during legislative session. But outside of that, I'm doing outreach, getting to know my membership, those officials, if I don't, even better, trying to figure out what roadblocks I can remove for them to better do their jobs and help their constituents. So, I guess, Randy, the people said, well, why did you jump from county government to county or stay in county government? And I said, well, this is a bigger scope for me. I went from serving 13 upper Cumberland counties, and I did training across the state. I did do a lot of that. So I've been in front of these folks quite a bit. But this gives me the ability or the opportunity to serve on a statewide level to those four groups of officials and just try to help them any way they can to be successful in their office.
Well, and a big promotion too.
Yeah,
not just pay wise, but in your ability to be able to work with all these folks statewide. I mean, you were kind of a little bit narrowed to just your counties that you were responsible for, and now you're statewide as executive director, so we're proud of you. And could you ever imagine, back when you were growing up, that us country boys from the farm, that we would be where we are today, and that you'd be the chairman of the county commission?
No, I mean, when younger, I had a mentor in county government, my Uncle Bill, and watched him on county commission meetings, which I've talked about here. And I always thought it was neat, but I never actually thought. I thought I would be cooler than that, or I thought I would do something that was not like maybe something in entertainment or something. I mean, I don't know, in sports or something. But I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be elected by the 8th District in Putnam County, and I'm thankful for the success we've had in Putnam County the last 10 years, because we're almost, Randy, you and I are almost finishing our 10th year in this position. You were, of course, with the county in other capacities before that, but I never thought I would be a county commissioner or serving the county in this capacity.
Or be a county commission chairman.
Yeah.
Which is a big undertaking. Most folks may not know, we have 24 county commissioners, 2 in each of 12 districts, and I have to say, this commission and the previous commission, they've got along real well. Everybody's respectful of everybody. We don't have any issues. Some past county commissions years and years ago weren't like that. They get in arguments and stuff, but we've had a really good working relationship, I think, since we've been in office with the county commission. But, 24 county commissioners, that's a lot of opinions.
It is, and I guess the best way to approach it is let everybody have their opinion. Don't try to keep somebody from saying what they want to say. And we do try to manage the time on discussion because we have business to conduct, and they're really good about not prolonging a motion or discussion too long. We've had a couple instances where everybody wanted to talk and be heard, and I get it. I get that outside of it, but they've been very respectful. They've conducted business the right way according to our rules and procedures, and I think this commission's been successful.
Well, and you have something that people may not know. You're a college graduate. You got a accounting degree, and you started out as a CPA working for an accounting firm, right?
Yeah. And
figured out that wasn't what Ben wanted to do for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I don't have anything against accounting. So young folks, if you're thinking about it, it's a great field and career. It's all about relationships for me and people, and being being stuck at a desk looking at tax returns or an audit all day long and not really having that interaction with people and trying to figure out what kind of impact can I make on someone's life in the best way and try to help them. And yeah, of course we need accountants and not taking anything away from CPAs, and that's a very important role, but I need to be around people. I need to be interactive. I need to be talking and having conversations. How can I help you today, and how can I get you to where you want to be?
Absolutely. Well, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the county in general, and specifically about the budget process. We just finished the budget process this week. You're also the chairman of the budget committee, which you did a great job. We probably set a record this year for the fewest budget committee meetings. Turned out to be a good year. Talk a little bit about the budget process and how that works.
It was good. The budget committee worked hard. I think we had the best attendance we've ever had. We only had a couple people miss. I actually had to miss one. The department heads, we only really heard from a handful of department heads this year. And last year we heard from about everybody, right?
Right.
Every department head wanted something, and they needed it, of course. They wanted to come and tell us and why and justify it. This year we had heard from a handful. So that shortened up our time period. We're very transparent about the need. There wasn't a whole lot of questions asked once they finished their presentation, so that shortens the meetings up. And everybody was just clear, and it did help us, Randy, when you came to us a couple weeks ago and said, hey, our revenue's better than we thought, and our expenses, we didn't spend everything we budgeted, and so we're to the positive. And
right.
Once that was learned, I guess you could say, or we found that out from you, it's like a sigh of relief came over the committee and thought, okay, we're okay. And we can help these department heads and officials achieve their goals for this next year. And so that made it shorter, and I probably pushed it a little bit because that same meeting I said, all right, guys, we have the information, we have everything we need to know, we have all the requests. Next meeting we have, and unless you have some revelation you want to discover or talk about, we need to wrap this up, and that's what we did.
Absolutely. It went really well, but as you said, it was a good year. We're very healthy financial-wise for a county our size. Last year was a tough year. I had to hire a bunch of new employees, not only for the new jail addition, EMS, fire, a lot of departments, because we're growing so much here in the county, which is a tough year. This year, much easier because of revenue coming in really good, department heads and elected officials handling their budgets really well. A lot of those new employees that we added to the budget, couldn't hire all of them at once. It took several months to hire them, so we probably had more money left over in this year's budget than any I remember in the previous years.
Yeah, we did. That was a big part of it, and I also think there were so many requests granted last year that those department heads thought, we got what we needed last year. We don't need that this next year. And so having the revenue that we had and not spending all the money that was budgeted, and then granting all those requests last year made it a lot easier for us this year.
It did. So it was a good budget year, and a lot of that is thanks to you. And there's 9 members of the budget committee. Mm-hmm. Out of the 24 commissioners, I select those each year. County commission approves them. Those folks deal with the budget starting usually sometime around the 1st of April, going through normally the end of June, the 1st of July. We finished up early this year because it was an easy year when it comes to the budget request and revenue being good. And so now it goes to the full county commission, end of July, last Monday night in July. It's a public meeting. Everyone's welcome to come to the courthouse. County commission meeting starts at 5:30, the last Monday night of July. And now it's up to the county commission to take the budget committee's request and decide what they want to do.
Yeah, the process is going to be simple. And, of course, I'm chair of the commission and budget committee, so I'll lead the whole thing and basically say, all right, you've had your budget in your hands at least 10 days to review. We're going to start presenting the budget as approved by the budget committee. And, we approved by fund in Putnam County, so we have 13 funds.
13 funds. Yeah.
Every fund's approved by a single vote. Some counties approve it all in one vote, and we could do that maybe, and we can talk about that. But each vote, it requires a majority of the 24, so that's 13 yeses. So 13 yeses are needed to approve a budget, and we'll start that process in the meeting on July 29th.
Good thing about this year, no tax increase recommended by the budget committee. We're good.
Yep, that's something you had asked too, and you said, do we need to vote on the tax rate? And I said, basically, the budget committee is not asking to change the tax rate, so we're going to submit the same tax rate as we have now for the commission. They'll approve the tax levy, but the budget committee, if they wouldn't make any changes, there was no vote needed. So no tax increase planned by the budget committee. I don't see that changing. I'm not making a prediction. That's just my personal opinion. I'm one vote, but right now that's the proposal, is no tax increase.
Yeah, good year financial-wise for Putnam County. Hey, you're listening today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. We're talking with Ben Rodgers. He's the chairman of the county commission, also chairman of our budget committee. More after this quick break.
And now back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. I hope you're having a great weekend. Our show this week, it's all about Putnam County. My guest is someone who knows a lot about what's going on in Putnam County. That's our County Commission Chairman, Mr. Ben Rodgers. Ben, we've been talking about it's budget time for us in all the counties and cities across the state of Tennessee, and we've been working on that. We just finished up the budget. Had a really good year when it comes to revenue and funds being left over in the existing budget. But one good thing we had going on for us in revenue was interest.
Oh yeah, so the federal feds, as we call them, decided to raise interest rates, and so that's not really helped some homeowners around here or people looking to buy a home. But if you have investments, man, it sure helps your money in your bank, and it's helping these counties and cities that have extra cash and fund balance, as we call a rainy day fund. That money is sitting in a bank or financial institution, interest bearing, which means it's income earning. And in Putnam County, we always like to practice a conservative approach on revenue, right, Randy? That's something you and I have since day one. We've been in office. We're budgeting revenue conservatively, and you had budgeted, I think, around $2 million for interest or investment income, which is interest income off of our idle funds that's being invested, and we ended up about $5.5 million.
Right.
So we more than doubled our investment income. I think an applause needs to go to our trustee, our financial committee that makes those decisions. There's a committee that I'm on that committee as well. You're very involved with that. We decide with the trustees' input, because they are the banker for the county, where do we want to invest these idle funds. We had some good rates come back, very competitive. We decided to go with the highest one for a longer period of time, and that's going to earn us some good money, and it has this year. So having that $3.5 million extra income going into our general fund, that's a state law, by the way. It's a default. All county idle funds, which is schools and highway and all the funds are sitting in the bank, default investment income goes to general fund.
Right.
Now, the county commission could vote and give some of that to one of those funds, but that's rare in Tennessee. So we have this investment income come to the general fund, which is where most of our operations are for our county employees, and it helps fund those expenses and things we're doing on a daily basis. So the revenue was good on the investment side. All the other revenue, Randy, it come in higher than what we thought. I mean, our people are paying a 99% rate on property taxes, so that means 1% of the population is not paying their property taxes on time, and that's unheard of in county government. Most counties are 5 to 10% delinquent. We're at 1%. So that's a testament to our people. They're paying their taxes on time. They're following the law. They don't want to pay penalties and interest. So when you have revenue come in higher than you projected and you have expenses lower than what you thought, it turns out to be a good budget year, a good financial year for the county.
Absolutely. One thing that we did last year that we had to do is take care of our county employees. We're basically a training ground for folks to come. They'd work for us. We'd get them trained, get them experienced, and then they'd move up to a bigger county or a higher paying job. And we were constantly going through that turnaround and turnover. It's costing us money to train and get those folks experience. County Commission stepped up last year. We did a pay scale study, found out that our salaries were way behind compared to most other counties and cities our size, even in the private sector also. So y'all did a big change in the pay scale that's made a huge difference.
Before last year, we actually had employees, and I can name off different departments, EMS, that went to other counties that took a higher paying job and less calls. We had people in the sheriff's office go to the city of Cookeville or go to THP or go as a correctional officer to the state. In the assessor's office, we had people go to the state as one of their consultants. Yeah. We've lost people in our county to state jobs, to city jobs, to other counties and other private jobs because they're getting paid more money. And last year, we put forth an effort to increase the incentive program on our pay scale, and it cost us, and part of our raising taxes was part of that. But I'll bet you, I don't know the exact numbers. Do we have any vacancies right now in the county?
Not as of right now. We were talking about that the other night, that 508 county employees, I think is the number we had the other day. We are fully employed in all the departments. There may be, I know the sheriff had to hire a bunch of jailers for the new jail addition and hadn't opened yet. That will probably the next couple of months, but he may have a few that he's still trying to hire there. But overall, in all the other offices and departments, we're fully employed. And I cannot remember a time, not since you and I have been in office, that has happened. And that's huge for our county to be able to keep those employees.
Yeah, I remember 2 years ago, Mr. Tommy Copeland, our EMS director, came to the budget committee needing more positions, and he already had 2, I think, vacant ones.
Right.
And we asked him, and we're very professional. We were not rude to Tommy. He wasn't rude to us. It's just a conversation between a committee and a department head. We said, Tommy, you have 2 vacant positions. Why do you need 2 more positions and you can't hire the 2 vacant? Well, that's 4 people total. And he stepped stepped back and said, you're right, pulled those requests and said, you know what, I'd much rather you put the money towards raises for my employees. And that's what we did for everybody. And now Tommy is, as you said the other night, he's fully staffed on paramedics, EMTs. He doesn't need anyone. And that's because the commission, along with the department heads working together, there never was a fight, there never was an argument, there never was hard feelings. It's we actually talked about it together. What do you need as a department head? Well, this is what we need. And the commission provided it.
Absolutely. We're talking with Ben Rodgers. He's the chairman of our county commission, also chairman of our budget committee. The budget committee just finished up and sent a recommendation to the full commission with a good year financial wise for the county. Ben, you did something else this year that really needed to happen too. We've been hit with inflation. Our employees are hit with it. Our citizens are hit with it. Our county's hit with it. And to keep those salaries where they need to be, y'all were able to give a cost of living raise this year.
Yeah, cost of living raises have happened in the past in Putnam County since I've been a commissioner. And Commissioner Jonathan Williams on the budget committee made a motion to give all county employees $1,000 cost of living raise. So that is on top of their step raise that they're getting. And depending on where you work is what your step raise is. And so that's an extra $1,000. That's a raise. It's not a bonus. That's going under their salary. And we had the money. We asked you, it looks like through this year we're about to finish up in a matter of days. Fiscal year, we're coming out to the good with our projections next year with interest rates still staying at a high amount, investment income, and people paying their property taxes. And the penny went up roughly about $7,000. So
talk about the penny rate, though.
Yep.
Most people probably don't understand the penny rate.
So the penny rate is three components that make a value of a penny, which is based on the assessor's office and the state assessed properties office. So you got real and personal property. That's the two components. So real property includes actual land and improvements to land. So houses, commercial buildings, whatever you can put on a piece of land to improve it. The personal property all comes from businesses where they're paying a tax on the equipment or the machinery or the computers or the cars or whatever they're using for a course of business. They're paying taxes on that. And then the public utilities is all your power lines and your gas lines and your public utility buildings and railroad and those things are occupying land. There's a value to that. So you take those three components, add that assessed value, and then you do a calculation that comes up with the value of the penny. Ours went from $225,304 to $232,490. So $7,000 increase. And basically that means $714,000 new for the general fund and a total of almost $2 million new property tax money for all funds across the county. And so when you're growing, your tax base is growing at that rate, you can afford to do things like a cost of living raise for employees that, like we said, we've incentivized them last year. We don't want to quit. We want to keep them around. So we did a cost of living raise, and I think the county commission will appreciate that, and I think that they like that thought.
Well, and that's our growth that you're showing in that penny rate, over $7,000 there, and that's how much one penny of property tax brings in. So our tax rate's $266. We've fluctuated. I'm a history buff when it comes to Putnam County history. Looking back at old newspaper articles from back in the late 60s and 70s, our property tax rate was actually higher then than it is now. We've been fluctuating between about $240 and $290 in that general area. It was $279 back in 1970, I think. We're at $266 now. So property tax rate in Putnam County stayed relatively in a same little area there. It's the values of the homes that have went up, which is what makes your property taxes increase unless the county commission does a tax increase. So we're growing. Our home values have went up, which makes extra revenue come into the county and keeps us from not having to raise taxes this year.
Yeah, and it's several things. It's people buying property and building houses, or people improving their houses and adding on, or it's commercial businesses putting a building or improving to that, or somebody starting a business and paying that personal property tax. And then, but what's the most important piece of that is our assessor's office capturing all that, and they work in conjunction with our codes department. Codes department lets the assessor's office know, hey, there's a building permit. You'll have to go evaluate this house or this addition or this business. Everybody in the county is communicating when it comes to growth and the assessments and the tax base. Everybody's got to work together, and we do a good job at that.
Absolutely. We got to take a break. You're listening to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Our guest this week, County Commission Chairman Ben Rodgers. Stay with us.
And now, back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Well, back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great weekend. Our show this week is all about Putnam County, and my guest is someone that knows a lot about Putnam County. He's our County Commission Chairman, Mr. Ben Rodgers. And Ben, we've been talking about budgets and finances and all those kind of things. One thing that we have done, you and I have been in office since 2014, we started looking at our debt. And when the Fed started lowering the interest rates, got down really low. We got one interest rates around 1% or so. We started refinancing our debt. made a huge difference, didn't it? To our county?
Yeah. When you're paying 5.5% interest on a bond that's got $20 million left or so, and you can refinance it from 5.5% to 1%, you're saving hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on interest cost alone. It allows you to put the money you were paying in that interest towards your principal and pay it off early, and that's freeing up your debt service, your debt capacity sooner, so you can do projects if you need to or put that money elsewhere. And so that was, and you and I laugh about it, but when you and I both were talking about running, we met and talked about some goals, and both of us said reduce our debt.
Right.
And one way to reduce our debt is to pay it off quicker, and the way to do that is to lower your interest rate, refinance and lower your interest rate so you can pay it off quicker. And we've done that several times, and it shows our debt capacity. When you have a fund balance amount of debt, and around $20 million, really that's 100% of what you're paying in principal and interest every year. So when you have that savings and you're able to free that up and do other things, it makes it easier on the taxpayer.
We were able to. Our average interest rate now is 1.8%.
Wow. Yeah.
Out of all of our bonds and debt, which is amazing. I had one of our finance guys here in the county, and he told me back when those interest rates were so low, he said, Randy, back up the truck. Refinance everything you got. If you got projects you need to do, get them in, get them locked, because he said this is not going to be that way forever. And boy, was he right. We've already now, if we start to go issue debt now, we're probably looking at 4% or something, which is still lower than what the average was before at 5.5 or 6, but it's not like those 1%. We're going to have to issue a bond that y'all approved recently for schools. Tell us about that.
So the county commission voted to, at the request of the Board of Education, Putnam County Board of Education, to do a bond issue of $13 million, I believe is the right number, to renovate, improve the old Parkview Elementary. So we're building a new Parkview. It's almost done. I don't know the timeline, but hopefully before school.
Yes.
But the old Parkview, to turn it into a pre-K facility. So taking the pre-K classrooms out of the other schools across the county, freeing up those classrooms for growth in students. And this allows people to take their kids to a pre-K oriented facility where it's all about pre-K. And that's about $13 million with construction costs. It's going to be a complete makeover.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal facility, and it's going to utilize that space for freeing up other rooms across the county so we don't have to build new school as we're doing now. It's so soon. I mean, we'll have to eventually, but we're delaying that through the pre-K building. So that was approved by the county commission. The final resolution is on the agenda for this month to be approved, but the initial approval was done already. So it's another instance of the county commission working with the Board of Education. Board of Education has a need. The county commission, we met as two bodies at a work session, and we met and we discussed, and the county commission said, yes, we want to do this to help you all.
You have a great relationship the county commission does with the school board. I do with the schools director and the school board and county commission. It hasn't always been like that, though, has it?
No, I remember as a consultant, I'm not going to give you the year because that'll probably put some people as part of it, but I remember sitting in a meeting between the county commission, budget committee, and the school board, and I was the mediator, and within about 20 minutes, I didn't feel comfortable with myself because it was getting pretty hot and heavy, and basically it was a failure to communicate, it was a failure to understand, and it was a failure to be transparent. One or both parties was not given the full information. Both of them were guilty of that, and it was the consequences were some retribution. One party wanted to act a certain way, and it just wasn't good for business. Right? We don't have that anymore.
No.
I remember coming in 2014, and you did as well. We met with the director of schools and Jerry Board, and we said we want to have open communication to be transparent. We don't want any of these 2-hour-long meetings where we talk about this, and this. We want to be here. It is. This is what we need, and we'll tell you how we can do it. And that's the way it's been. We've worked well together.
And that's pretty much across Putnam County. City mayors, city councils, county commission, county elected officials, we probably get along better than most any county I know of. And I tell everybody that's not something we take for granted either, because you have to work at that and build those relationships, and we've done well. And we got a couple minutes left. Capital projects is a big deal that you and I have worked on since back in the beginning. We came into office. There wasn't really any planning when it came to future projects of county building maintenance or vehicles or anything to do with new projects. We started doing a 5-year plan. Here about 4 or 5 years ago, the county commission started budgeting on that 5-year plan. So I give you, that's created by our department heads and elected officials, a 5-year plan that projects you out for the next 5 years. Most of the projects that we think we're going to need, it's made a big difference too, hasn't it?
It has, and I want to brag on you because you took the initiative to put together this 5-year plan. But not only did you just put together a plan, you sought out the advisement or the input from all department heads and elected officials. And without that, you don't really know where to start. You can guess. You're a pretty smart guy, but you don't know the inside details of school roofs and all this stuff. So you reached out to schools and everybody. And from that information they gave you, you did this 5-year plan. You gave it to the budget committee. Budget committee reviewed it budget, and then the commission saw it and understood where we're at now and where we're going as a county on capital projects. And we've been able to do a lot the last 10 years on capital projects. It's been amazing. We've paid cash for it, hadn't had to borrow the money, and so we're going to continue that trend.
And it's been a good thing with all those capital projects that we've been able to pay cash for them, not had to borrow any money or anything. One capital project we got in this next year's budget is probably one of your favorite. We're talking about pickleball.
Yeah, we're going to build some courts, 6 of them. As a matter of fact, I think, Randy, over at the community center,
right.
Cool Community Center, where I think maybe a basketball court was, or our volleyball courts are. You build it, they will come, and they were already coming to play pickleball and tennis courts, and that frees up some of the tennis courts. Dedicated pickleball courts where you have a more fun game, and it's not chasing the ball 50 yards from you to get it. So it's I'm thankful the county has seen the need and the request from the people in Putnam County to do so.
Well, you've been a big proponent of that. You've been playing pickleball for a while. It's the fastest growing sport in the United States right now. And you go out to our courts, the tennis courts out by the community center, and there's people standing or sitting and waiting for a court, and it's not just pickleball, it's tennis. Mm-hmm. So you got these 2 different sports, and they're competing for the courts, and there's not enough of them. So we're going to renovate the tennis courts. They need to have some issues that need to be resurfaced. We're going to need to do that. And then we're going to build these 6 new pickleball courts. City is in the process. Cool City is in the process right now of building 8 new pickleball courts. And so we're hoping that that's going to help alleviate some of the need that we have right now and open up, because we love to see people out doing sports, exercising. It helps build a healthy community, and it's got to be good for us.
Randy, we're here to serve, and part of the request from our public is for pickleball and all these other things we provide, and I think the county commission, city council do a good job of providing those things.
Absolutely. Ben, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Randy.
You do a great job as our county commission chairman, and you're a good friend, and I appreciate everything you do.
I appreciate that.
Hey, one event we want to talk about is the 10th annual Red, White, and Boom, July 4th at the Putnam County Fairgrounds. We're going to have concerts starting at about 5 p.m. with Jay Coote, followed by Jesse Rice. Fireworks are at 9. Admission is free, of course. And then on 4th of July that morning, we're going to have a patriotic parade and ceremony at the courthouse. That starts at 9:30 with a patriotic parade. It's all our kids with decorating their bicycles and scooters and tricycles, where it might be. We'll give away cash prizes for the winners for some of those categories. And then we'll have a ceremony immediately following that, which we're going to honor our local National Guard unit, which is going to be deployed later this year. So it's going to be a great event. Come out and join us. Listen to our show this week. Hope you join us every week for Today in Putnam County. I'm County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and may God continue to bless our great county.
You've been listening to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.